still fly.
Yeah? Okay. Hello. Welcome to the Underrated Movie Podcast. I'm your guy. I'm your man, Mr. Alton Henry. Today, I'm here with my buddy Houston.
Nice. Thank you, Alton. Yes, hello, I am here,
Yeah?
Houston. And I'm also here with Carlos, another good friend
Hello,
of ours.
everybody. Hello.
And then we're also here with Dylan.
Hey, how's it going?
So I'm pretty good. Have you had the Dr. Pepper strawberry and cream zero sugar?
I'm probably not gonna have that.
Oh, man. Missing out. You gotta try that. And if anybody likes soda, I recommend checking out the Dr. Pepper strawberries and cream zero sugar. And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's out of this world. I don't normally drink soda, but I recommend it.
We should have it here for product placement.
Yeah, we should have. You know what?
Yeah.
I should have went over to Rouse and picked
Yeah, that's great.
You recommend
product
the zero sugar one?
Yeah, I recommend zero sugar, especially if you're trying to cut back on having sweets.
Oh.
And I'm telling you right now, you ain't gonna regret it unless you don't like strawberry.
All right, I might investigate this.
Okay.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it. Here, we're here to talk about raising the question: is Hollywood, the business, is that dying? Is that going under? For me, I love going to the theater. Like I'll make time going to the theater. But lately, I've been more selective on going. You got so many options of streaming. You got YouTube. You got social media, and also the question does beg to differ. Are there any really good movies out worth spending $14, $20 to see a movie? Is it? I mean, what was the last movie that you've seen that was worth the money that you spent?
Oppenheimer.
Oppenheimer?
Oh, Dune. No, Dune.
Yeah,
Dune
Dune.
2. Saw
Yeah.
Dune 2.
I
The last thing
agree.
I saw.
I agree. Dune 2 was cool. You?
Oh, I go with my kids, so the last movie I saw there was, I think it was Bad Guys animation.
Oh.
That's that heist.
Yeah, the
movie.
heist with like the pig and all these animals.
Okay. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I know that movie.
Yeah, was it worth it? My 14, 15, 20. I think my kids enjoy it. I think that's one reason I go to the movies, because obviously it's a family outing, so it counts. I think it's what everybody loves about going to the theater, to the movie theater. It's that you get to go with the family.
Yeah, no, definitely. I feel like that is true. You get to go with the family, and I feel like a lot of kids' movies today are still trying to keep that generation going, like with the Puss in Boots movies coming out, with the Trick. But I kind of understand what you're saying about Hollywood dying because of the streaming service, because it does feel like people are less interested in going to the movies nowadays, especially because most of these movies that are coming out are advertised as being available in streaming like within a few weeks. Like Dune 2 was a good movie, but HBO like came out and was like, Dune 2 like available on HBO Max, like August. No, what was the date? It was recently available for HBO Max, May 27th, something like that. So it kind of takes away. Like one good example is the new Spider-Man movie, the Across the Spider-Verse. A lot of people didn't go because they heard Beyond the Spider-Verse would be coming out soon, and Across the Spider-Verse would be available on streaming. So instead of going to the movie theaters, people would just rather wait for the Beyond the Spider-Verse to come out on streaming, and they could see both movies in the comfortability of their home. But going out with family, going out with kids, and with friends, I think it's what's kind of keeping the movie business alive. But I do see a very big decline.
So the question I have to ask you is that the right question to ask? Is it that Hollywood's dying, or is it that the theater chains could be dying? Because don't forget who owns the streaming services.
Hollywood,
Corporations.
Corporations.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Studios.
So all we're really seeing is maybe the possibility that the chain is changing. The way we consume is changing. So, yeah, prior to go back 30, 40, 50 years, 60 years, 75 years, pick whatever, how far back you want to go, the main way you consume this medium was through the theater. That was it. And that was, and it had a very simple workflow. Movies get played, and then that's it. And then they come back again, and you watch them in the theater again, and that's it. And then we got into television and started competing with it, and then movies would premiere and then show up eventually on TV way down the road. And then we got some of our other consumption systems. We got VHS, then DVD, then Blu-ray, streaming, pay-per-view, all this crap.
Laserdisc.
Right. So they're all really, still under the control of the studio. The studio's not losing money. They may lose some ticket sales, but then are they getting that money back down the road is the question to ask. So then who is really suffering here? Is it the studios, or is it the theater chains?
And I'm starting to see a shift in the movie theater. So obviously, once again, I go with my kids, and they're beginning to see arcades. So some of these theaters are beginning to bring arcades into the fold.
I noticed that.
They're starting to bring cinema 4D, like 4D experience. So they're starting to bring all this entertainment that before you went to the movies, you have popcorn, you sit down, you watch it. Now it's almost an experience. You got to get there, and then now they're only showing one movie when they just show two. So now you have all this time, but they have advertising, and then by the time you get to the movie, you already consumed sodas and popcorn. You already played a bunch of arcade, and so it's becoming this night out kind of thing. And the movie's just kind of what holds it all together, pretty much.
So it's kind of more like we're trying to, for the theatrical experience, we're trying to make it a much more grander and more, I guess, funner experience by having all.
I think you have to.
Right.
Yeah.
There's no way out of that.
I think you have to.
Yeah.
You have to entice everybody to come back. And if the movies are not going to do it, because I could sit on my couch and pay $14.99 for a movie, like Furiosa's coming out, I could almost see the advertising where it's already going to be streamed. It's almost like part of the trailer almost.
Yeah.
So it's going to be streamed within days.
That actually brings me to the question, because I do remember, I know Regal has arcades, but does AMC have arcades?
I think they're bringing them on. Like the one that go to, they have a place where like the kids could watch a kid movie and run around, like a Chuck E. Cheese kind of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that would be fun.
Yeah, so you could go to the kids theater, and then in there they have like jumpers and like this. They have this whole like thing that goes all around the theater, and then they'll stop the movie in the middle, and then they just go crazy, all that sugar, and then they come back and sit down, and then we finish the film.
That's actually funny. I actually did see that happen at a theater before, where kids were just.
So I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, they were
They
just
gotta
running
do,
around in the theater. They could not. The parent did not stop the kid.
Yeah, but going back to your question, I don't think Hollywood's dead. I think maybe the business model's struggling a little bit. But
It's struggling. It's changing. Just remember this: the entertainment industry has always been an arms race, right? So if you go way back at the very beginning, there was just movies, right, as a form of entertainment, and then or you read, that was it, right? Or you went to a play. So they were kind of king when that happened, and then this thing called radio showed up, and radio flipped out Hollywood for a while because like, oh my God, people are going to stay home and listen to this stuff and not go to the movies. That didn't quite really affect it as much. But then this little weird box thing showed up, this television thing. And that's the first time that the arms race started, because Hollywood saw this thing, oh my God, people can tune in, even though the screen was probably like this big.
Black and white.
Black and white, the crappiest image you can imagine. But it's still, people would be willing to sit at home. The idea that images could be beamed in from somewhere into my
magic
living
box.
room. Exactly, it was a magic box. So that started the arms race. So we had black and white TV, we had movies. Then what did movies do? It switched to color.
Sound.
Well, that's probably after.
Yeah.
Sound happened before.
Before.
So we're at the sound stage, but now we have color movies, right? And TV's black and white. TV was black and white up until the early 50s. And then TV got color. And that's like NBC. You never see the logo with the peacock.
Yeah.
Colorful feathers. That's why they have it, because they were the first station to go color.
Okay.
And so that started the arms race, because then Hollywood's like, oh, whoa, well, we had color, but now they're color, so what are we going to do? And they're like, wait, we can change our aspect ratio and make it wider. So that's where we had the CinemaScope, CinemaVision, all of a sudden wider aspect ratios.
Cinedome. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
that started, and then we got into 3D battle. And so there's always been this idea that the quality on television has been lowbrow and the quality on cinema has been highbrow. And that's where they kept people coming into the theaters because, you know, I'm sure if you guys were around, you might remember like watching TV in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah.
I mean, they
The
were
box.
interesting shows, but they weren't that high quality.
No, they were not.
But then there was a magical shift that happened probably in the early 2000s when the quality of the writing and the production in television suddenly did this and started competing with Hollywood.
Yeah.
And at that same time, we started having a technological change when we switched over to HD television. And that was in HD, and now we're in 4K.
And TVs got cheaper. You can buy a
Right,
television at
right,
Walmart
right.
for like $280, like a 70-inch.
Actually, probably some like a lot cheaper. I saw a TV over at Target that was like around $80.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you could get stuff cheap
technology
now.
got better and it got cheaper.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're at this point now where we're again at an arms race because now it's a bigger stake. And I don't think it's an arm race. It used to be Hollywood versus television, but now most of television is owned by Hollywood. So there is no longer a battle of okay, us versus them. It's now more of okay, battle of who gets the content first.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing now is the idea of going into a screen is no longer just about quality and resolution because I can get that on television. I can also get movies on television. I can also have a fairly inexpensive, high quality viewing experience in my living room.
And go
I'm
ahead.
sorry.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
And we're also getting exclusive content from these streaming services. Like if I want to watch the Bird Box, the Sandra Bullock movie in theaters, I can't.
Right.
Because it's exclusively on Netflix. If I want to watch, what's another good
Disney.
example? Disney,
Star
like Disney,
Wars.
yeah, like it's the new Star Wars. Like they're exclusively on
It's a
Disney
Disney
Plus.
channel, yeah.
So I feel like that's another factor that's killing the theater aspect of watching movies.
Because if they're making these movies exclusive on their platform, you can only watch it on their platform.
Exactly.
It's rare. It's rare that they would release some of their products on DVDs because they know that I think it's gonna be like, especially for the kind of show it is. I think it's or project it is. They know it has a huge fan base. Like I know that they released Stranger Things on DVD.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
anything else that is maybe not so
They're
popular.
going back to records.
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
music is now making a lot of money going back to vinyl.
That's
So you see that happening. Once again, we had a conversation a couple of days ago where we're talking about how it's just this wave of technology coming in and out, of trends coming in and out. And I think vinyl's coming back. People are buying vinyl. You can see it at Target.
Yeah.
You can buy it at music stores.
It's funny you say that because I did see a modern day VHS player the other day. Like it was built for HD TVs, but it was a VHS player.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and you would think, why would somebody need that? But maybe those people out there have collections of VHSs, you know, and like a lot of people that like to keep it old school, like watch movies maybe in a different format.
Well, yeah, and also especially if you do have those the originals.
Yeah.
People want to watch the originals. I guess the original Star Wars that was released on VHS is nowhere to be found.
I have heard about
The
that
original
too.
copies.
I've heard that many movies today, because of streaming service, they've been edited.
And I remember I used to have the original Star Wars A New Hope and Return of the Jedi. Unfortunately, they're lost somewhere.
But that's George Lucas because he basically wanted to change everything.
Yeah,
because he wasn't happy with it.
So,
And I get it, and I like some of those changes. I ended up buying the DVD because I ended up losing everything.
But I think we're going backwards. What if we jump forward? Like let's see this new generation of viewers. For example, my kids don't know a world without stream, without like watching it on my phone. So what's Hollywood going to do for them? You know, where they have that need to, like we have a big 75-inch TV on my wall, but my kids will watch it on their phone.
It's like, why have this TV then?
You know what I'm saying? So I think we start talking about that generation where like, because we're talking about Hollywood being dead, and we're talking about maybe how does it move forward?
Well, also it depends how customers consume it. Because my niece, she was watching Shrek on her tablet. She didn't even watch the whole movie. She was just playing with the tablet literally
Skip to the good parts.
just skipping to the parts, fast forwarding it,
No,
but it
it's true.
kept her entertained. So I'm thinking, okay, well, what kind of
So what is Hollywood doing
what are you doing?
Yeah,
for the new audience?
what could they do for that?
It's like, oh, we just gonna have something we're just gonna fish out. They don't care. Something.
Because I think it was mentioned before that they're working on what's gonna be, not what it is already. It's already happening. So most of the studios are they're moving. They want to know what is next. You know, they're working on what is next. You know, so I think what is next.
I think what they're really trying to work out next is how to make the money next.
And not lose so much money.
Right. That's the problem.
Not to bleed. Stop the bleeding.
Yeah, they basically have shot themselves in the foot. The cash cow system that existed up until this point of streaming was what made everybody rich. And because it was basically based upon the fact that consumers are going to, I'm going to buy the VHS and I'm going to wear it out and then I'm going to buy it again and I'm going to buy a DVD, then I'm going to buy a Blu-ray, then I'm going to buy the digital version. I'm going to keep repeating and reselling and reusing the content over and over again. And that model is now broken because of two things. First, we've conditioned people to have this concept of, if we go back to the kids, you know, just looking, I call them kids, but just people in the younger generation, just looking at their phones or looking at their tablets to consume, it becomes this balance between quality versus convenience.
Yeah.
And that's how the whole world of audio got to where it is. Because, you know, when you stream audio, it's not the same as listening to a full CD or any really high quality. You're not getting it. A, you're not getting the full fidelity, and B, you're not consuming it like you're not sitting like the old days. Like back in, you know, when we were all young, we'd sit there with a hi-fi system, spend tons of money on the hi-fi. You put the record on, you carefully. You're gonna sit there and experience it in the whole way of this high fidelity
even
system.
a CD.
Right.
You will
CD.
listen to the entire CD.
Right. But now, because of phones and everything, it's much more easier just to listen to it, hear and watch it. So people like, not that people don't care about quality, but they care more about convenience. I'd rather have to be able, you know, I want to be able to listen to my music anywhere. I don't want to have to go sit in a room and listen to it. And the same thing applies to the motion picture television industry. It's not necessarily about big screens. It's about the convenience of it. I could sit here and watch it at home. I could sit here in the hallway and watch something on my phone. I don't really care how big the screen is as long as I can see it.
I also feel that because they've saturated these fields, it makes enjoying particular medias like music and film, it makes them less enjoyable. So because they've, like, let's say a streaming service like Netflix, they have thousands of movies at their disposal. It's not like back then when you got excited to rent out one DVD and you had that one DVD rented out for a week and you would watch it with the replay value. But nowadays, like my niece, she'll watch like another bit of Trek, turn it off, and then she'll go watch like another bit of like H2O, turn it off, and then like she won't even finish the episodes. And it's because there's so many like options that these streaming services and the streaming music services have saturated so much that it's to a point that how do you really decide what you're gonna enjoy? Like when I listen to Spotify, I try to listen to full albums, but I know a lot of people who just put mixed playlists, and sometimes they're like, "Oh, what is this song? I never heard this song before."
And I think it goes back to convenience because I had CDs and DVDs. They will take up an entire wall. You know, so you have them, and that's somebody I collected them, so I would know where they're at. But somebody that's we're gonna carry those around. No. You know, you have a pouch. You know,
but also it was an effort, right? You were like, okay, I'm gonna make a decision to listen to something or watch a movie. I physically got to select it, take it, put it in, right? And even that doesn't seem like much. It is.
Because more ritualistic.
Now it's just like, all right, I wanna listen to something. I'm done, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So people, there's the value of actually buying that thing, having it as a physical medium. That's the problem. It's like, no, we're training a whole generation or multiple generations of people that take no value in intellectual property.
Yeah.
Like you took pride in having a CD collection that filled a wall or an album collection.
The covers, the album covers are beautiful.
Now, there's no personal connection between me and my streaming service.
Yeah.
whether it's
No.
Apple,
It's just like you said.
Spotify,
It's gonna be like boom, boom, boom. Waiting for
Yeah.
the head. I'm
or
gonna watch
even
20
Netflix.
shows.
Like that. There's no, I don't have any. Big deal. I have a favorite list on Netflix, but that's not anything.
Yeah.
Somebody
it's not
said-
tangible.
Somebody said Netflix is like a refrigerator full of food I don't want to eat.
Right.
There's
That's
tons
good.
of it, but
And here's the problem: is that because it's an all-you-eat buffet, right? You're not buying individual meals. You're basically getting in the buffet line and paying for that. So they have to have a huge selection, which means they have to put a lot of crap in there, even just to fill the volume.
Just this year, they released 2 movies with Jennifer Lopez, a Kevin Hart movie, the Rock Johnson movie, and these are big stars doing movies exclusively for like Netflix. Like how can I really enjoy this movie if you guys are gonna have like another Kevin Hart movie in like 2 weeks? Like I feel like it just takes away so much from the art, and that's why it's making it difficult for people to go enjoy a movie in the movie theater nowadays, especially if it's not a good movie. Because it's like, why am I watching this when I could watch 50 of these movies at home?
yeah.
So that's the thing. I think there's been possibly maybe just a huge amount of movies that have not been good, that people are just not maybe tuning in. I mean, that's kind of just debatable whether it's streaming or maybe the theatrical release. Maybe there's just been a big track record of just bad product.
Well, maybe this is my age speaking here, but I just watched Cannes, Cannes Film Festival, and I love to watch. I like the glamour of the movies, of what it used to be, Hollywood and all this. And I think if we keep that kind of alive, it's going to become almost like a commodity. It's going to become almost like a fine art, like where you have these like beautiful shows and shrines to great films. I think you're always going to have that. But as a consumer product, I think it's going to eventually disappear. But like black and white photography, it went away because of commercial digital color print. But now you can still come to UCLA College and do black and white photography. So it became a fine arts. And I think that the way I see cinema is going to become this high intellectual kind of glamour, where like you go to Cannes Film Festival and you go to Sundance and you experience these really beautiful cinemas. And
So is it going to be more lucrative to go to these kind of places?
it's going to be, I think it's going to be more expensive to go, and it's going to be obviously more of a higher end product to go to these movies and shows, especially when you're watching them on 75 millimeters.
I could see that, especially with the ongoing rumors of, well, not rumors, it's actually been happening. Certain theaters closing down. I mean, I heard AMC and Regal have closed a lot of their chains across the states because, well, nobody is really going and they're losing money.
Well, the pandemic did.
Well, yeah,
the pandemic did.
Yeah.
But the pandemic, and not only that, the stock market.
Right.
They were in the news because their stock market was going. It really harmed their business.
Cinemark closed because of the pandemic, correct? Cinemarks?
Wait, their whole brand didn't close down. I don't think.
Not the whole brand? Oh.
I don't think the whole brand.
What was the other one then? The high-end expensive one that Cinerama Doma was. It was
Was
The
it
Lamleys?
Edwards?
The Arclight?
what?
The Lamley.
ArcLight.
Yeah,
So ArcLight
ArcLight.
completely collapsed.
Some of the Lamleys that did all the independent stuff, because before streaming in the movie theater, you go to a Lamley and watch all these European films and all these films from like other countries. There,
wow.
they went under. Maybe there's one left, I believe, in Hollywood.
There's one in Glendale, and then there's one actually in Santa Clarita. That's the one I normally go to if they have something that's interesting. I would just go that.
Yeah, it's interesting because just this morning on NPR I was listening to Cinematheque is, I think it's hit a mark. I think it's 100 years old or something.
Oh, wow.
The American Cinematheque.
Yeah, and they're having a big movie revival.
Oh, wow.
So it's not gonna go anywhere, but it's gonna be more of a luxury.
I could see that.
Yeah, I think you're right because in the end, they're very expensive to maintain.
Yeah.
Because you have a huge footprint, you either own it or you're renting that square space. You have to pay for the power, everything about it.
Yeah.
And also you have to keep the technology going forward because you can't. It isn't like the old days where we can just keep 35 millimeter going and that could work for 20 years.
Yeah.
Even the projectors we have right now, They're going to
Yeah.
be replaced in 5 years because the new technology is going to come out. The arms race keeps moving forward.
Yeah.
And it's a more aggressive arms race now because of technology.
Do you guys see a future where in-home theaters would be more affordable, and would that completely disintegrate the movie theater companies?
I think home theater is an endangered species.
Home theaters an endangered species?
Oh yeah.
They referring to DVDs, right?
Phone.
I'm just the whole everything.
Phones.
It's,
Yeah.
it's the future is the virtual reality, the glasses, all the the big race between Apple and Quest and pick whatever.
And Facebook, don't
Yeah.
they have one too?
Yeah.
That's Quest.
Mhm.
Quest,
Yeah,
oh, Quest.
yeah.
So
Right.
that technology is the future. That's because at some point, right now it's a big stupid ski goggle thing you're wearing like this. You're like, oh, my head's going back, and it costs like $4,000 to have something that really works properly. But that's right now, and probably within 5 years or probably less than that, that shit's going to be like this. And so, when you can have an affordable viewing experience that gives you the equivalence of a IMAX experience
Immersive.
in your
Complete
living room,
immersive.
then that's where it's going to go. And the only saving grace of everything else right now is the community experience. But I don't know how many people really care about that anymore.
Yeah.
Being in an audience with other people reacting. It's an important part of filmmaking,
Yeah.
an experience. But I think that it's all about aesthetics, and it's all about the community and how they perceive an experience. So if most people are happy doing this, right, watching and doing YouTube and stuff, or watching their movies, when this comes into play, then suddenly I can be in the same convenience. And this is where I think it's dangerous. Is
Yeah.
right now it's convenience versus quality, right? I'm gonna let the quality be not so good, so I could sit here right now and do this, right? But when it comes to that point where the convenience is just like this with the phone, but now I have the quality of a theater on my face, that's gonna be like a crack cocaine for everybody.
Yeah,
And they're
yeah.
not gonna, because how amazing that's gonna be.
Yeah.
And then you'll see the whole virtual thing, like, oh, put your glasses on, we both can be in the same experience. And I've done that because I have one of those I have a Quest 2, and I tried it. Like you could go in and watch movie trailers and stuff. So I did it, and it went into this virtual cinema, and there was other people from, I don't know where the hell they were, but sitting next to me in their avatars.
Wow.
And I remember there was this one little like 10-year-old or 12-year-old girl, or I don't know what, next to me, just screaming as loud as they could. And I'm like, wow, I can just be equally annoyed in augmented reality or virtual reality with people. So I could see it all just blending like that. And
Yeah.
that's where it's going to go.
I guess that's the
And
future.
that's probably what's going to crush the theaters. And then what you're going to get is exactly what you're talking about. The bouquet, the high boutique, high-end world of, oh, we're going to go see like a 35 millimeter print.
Yeah. Or a 75.
Right.
And it's gonna be a Q&A afterwards.
And watch, you'll see IMAX is kind of the last stand, I think, right now, because right now, if you go watch a regular 35 millimeter film, digital, projected, whatever, or analog, I don't think that inspires anybody. I think they're all like, yeah, I can go do that and watch it at my house.
Yeah.
So that's why everything's now being, every movie, any flagpole, tentpole movie, any action movie, any space, sci-fi, anything that's big and energetic, they're pushing IMAX because that's going to bring people in for now.
Yeah.
And so we might see IMAX just turn into this bigger and bigger viewing experience
Yeah.
just to compete with it.
to compete with the technology.
But the problem is the technology, if you've got Apple making, movies and also making the viewers, then who's going to win?
Yeah.
Man, that's a shame because I grew up watching movies, going to theaters, and then to see it.
Well, let's hope it's not dead.
Well, yeah, let's hope it's not dead.
Let's hope we
just hope-
survive.
Yeah, let's hope there's some sort of resurgence for it. I mean, well,
Tarantino and Nolan are continuously pushing for theaters and film, and they're continuously
Well, they're
pushing
buying
for
them.
IMAX. Yeah,
well, yeah, they're trying to salvage what they can.
They're buying some of the
They're
old
trying to-
theaters.
But also remember, we're in LA.
Yeah.
So it's a boutique world. you won't see any of this stuff happening in Louisiana or Boise, Idaho, or someplace like that.
That's true.
All right, guys. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
All right.
No,
Thank you.
Yeah.